Today we'll be discussing about rust in removal partial denture. A small topic. We'll be briefly discussing about the different types of rust in removable partial denture. Okay. So rust in removable partial denture. Hope everybody will be familiar with the components of removable partial denture. So what are the components? First, we will have to know about the different components of removable partial denture. Okay, this topic or this region, removable partial denture, there has been very frequently asked questions from this removable partial denture, and we all know that we are not that much familiar with the cast partial dentures, so we get confused. So we should have a thorough idea about the components and how it is fabricated and different types of indications, everything. Okay, now I have marked the different components and numbers have been marked. So can you just name it, which is number one, which component is number one? We'll have a discussion. Can you name it? Can anyone name it? Yeah, it's a major connector. It's major connector. Number one is major connector. What is number two? Great. Many of you are answering. What is number two? Which component is number two? Number two, it's not minor connector. Yes, it's direct retainer. In fact, it is direct retainer. It's the clasp assembly. Number three, which is the part of the removable partial denture marked as number three. Yeah, good. Preetham has answered it. It is the denture base. It is the denture base. What is number four? Number four. Hope it is visible. The numbers are visible to you all. Number four, yeah. Number four, it is a rust. Yes, it's true. It's a rust. It's actually auxiliary rust. It's an auxiliary rust to the canine. Okay. Yeah, auxiliary rust. Preetham has answered it. Yes, even if it is answered as rust, it is nothing wrong in it. It is a rust. It's a type of rust. It's termed as auxiliary rust. Okay. Number five, it is occlusal rust. Yeah, it is an occlusal rust along with the clasp assembly. So you are familiar with the components, different components. Now, so these are the different components. I have named it, numbered it again. So number one, yes, this component, it is denture base. Number two, it contains the denture base. Over it, you have the artificial teeth. Then number three, it is connector. Here it is the major connector. You will have the major connector and the minor connector. Number four, they are the retainers, the direct retainers. Number five, it is the rust or the supporting rust. Clear? Hope it is clear for you all. Now, what is rust? So, rust, they are rigid extensions of removable partial denture placed over a rust seat. So, you have to prepare a rust seat over the tooth or the restoration over which this rust will rust or it will be placed over this preparation, which are prepared either on the occlusal, lingual surface or the incisal edges of teeth, and they provide support to the partial denture. They provide support to the partial denture. Now, what is support? That is the next question. What is support? Yes, rust will provide support. So what is support? So this is the occlusal rust with the clasp assembly. Now what is support? So support is that quality of prosthesis which will resist the displacement of the denture towards the tissue, towards the supporting tissue. Understood? So it prevents the displacement, or it will resist the displacement of the prosthesis towards the supporting tissue. That property or that quality is known as support. So Rust will provide support to the prosthesis. So rust will support the prosthesis and it will prevent impingement of the prosthesis to the supporting tissues, or it prevents the harmful effects of the occlusal loads over to the underlying mucosa. Clear? Hope it is clear. Clear? Everybody, clear? We'll have a discussion. We can have a chat in the chat box. You have any doubts, we can clear it. Yeah, clear. Fine. Good. Now, what happens if there is no rust? We have talked about rust. It will provide support. What happens if there is no rust? Usually, in our removable partial dentures, what we deliver in our clinic or what we have done in our UG undergraduate level, we don't have any rust. So what happens? What are the consequences? See, when you have an occlusal load over the tooth, this clasp assembly is going to impinge over the underlying mucosa or the gingiva. Clear? Hope it is clear from the picture. Yeah. So if there is no rust, the result will be the next picture. Yeah. All the supporting structures of the abutment teeth or the teeth which provides retention will be injured. It acts as a gum stripper. It will strip off the gums or the gingiva from the tooth. See? So that is the consequence. So a removable partial denture without rust seed, you should never imagine such an prosthesis. Understood? You might have done it in your undergraduate level, but in your practice, don't ever do it. Okay. There is no prosthesis like acrylic prosthesis without rust seed. Understood? Hope it is clear. So it will impinge, if it impinge the supporting tissues, it will cause the recession of the gingiva, it will injure it. Understood? So rust is an important component of our removable partial denture. Okay, clear. Now, what is rust seed? See, this rust has to be seated over a preparation or a prepared region where it can remain stable or where it can be guided or it can be seated into. Clear. So the rust seed, it is a prepared recess in the tooth or restoration. It can be over the restoration or it can be over the tooth to receive occlusal, incisal or the lingual rust. So from this statement itself, you have understood or you can get an idea that there is an occlusal rust, there is an incisal rust, and there is a lingual rust. Clear? So there are three types of rust. From this statement, we can get an idea about that. Okay, so you have to prepare a rust seed. What happens if there is no rust seed preparation? If you don't give it a rust seed preparation, what is going to happen? Anybody can answer. If you know it, be frank or be bold enough to answer it. Let it be wrong, no problem. That's how we learn it. We'll have a discussion, only then we will remember it. Anybody? What happens if you don't prepare a rust seed over the tooth or the restoration? Yeah, somebody has answered tooth fracture. It might not cause tooth fracture, but definitely the person who has written occlusal interference perfect, it is going to cause occlusal interference because over the tooth we are placing the rust. Definitely it will occupy some bulk of material. Definitely. Yeah. So it is going to cause occlusal interference. True. And second thing, it is not that easy to place it also. There is no guide to place this rust. How we can assure that the placement of our removable partial denture is perfect or it has been seated to the perfect region? This rust seat, if the rust is seating over that rust seat, we can be sure that yes, our seating of the removable partial denture is okay. Clear. So that definitely a wedging effect can be there. Wedging effect can be there for a rest. We'll discuss it. Yes. So this is the reason. Yeah. If you don't give a preparation, definitely there will be occlusal indifference. Second thing, the purpose, different, one purpose of rest, it is to provide support. Yeah, true. Second purpose is there. It has to direct the occlusal forces along the long axis of the abutment teeth. Yeah. You have to direct the occlusal forces along the long axis of the abutment teeth. See what happens. The picture 1 and picture 2 gives the comparison. The one, it is with a rest seat preparation, and 2 without rest seat preparation. See, when you have a rest seat preparation, you can guide the forces. You can guide the forces along the long axis of the tooth. Whereas without rest seat, definitely it will have a lateral force, an axial force. The rest will exert an axial force to the supporting tissues and also to the tooth. Now, our periodontal ligament is actually trained, or it's not actually trained, it is made in such a way that it can bear the occlusal load more than the lateral forces. So the lateral forces to the periodontal ligament, it is detrimental. Understood? So it cannot withstand, or it cannot withstand to a lateral forces beyond what some limit. Beyond some limit, it cannot withstand. It will result in the periodontal issues. Okay, so preparation of rest seat, it will help you easy placement, and it prevents the occlusal interference, and it will help to guide the occlusal forces along the long axis of the teeth. Clear? So rest seat, yes, it guides. A properly prepared rest seat helps to control the stress by directing the forces along the abutment teeth, along the long axis of the teeth. So periodontal ligament, we have told you that it can withstand the occlusal forces greater, or it has been developed in such a way that it can withstand the occlusal forces more effectively than the lateral forces or the horizontal forces. So it is better, or it's not better, it should have a rest seat preparation so that it can guide the forces along the long axis. Now, types of rest seat we have discussed: occlusal rest, incisal rest, and the lingual rest. It depends upon the position of the rest, where that it means it's the position of the rest over which region of the tooth and which tooth it rests over it. Okay, so rest assembly, it can be a direct assembly, it can be a direct rest or a primary rest. That means it is a part of a clasp assembly. Primary rest. Auxiliary rest are the rests which provide indirect protection. Okay, we'll be discussing detailedly about indirect retainers in another session. Okay, so auxiliary rest means they are the rest that will provide indirect retention. Clear? Now, so the primary rest is the rest that is along with the clasp assembly, and the auxiliary rest or the secondary rest or the auxiliary rest or the indirect retainers, they are the rest seats prepared which prevents torquing of the denture, which prevents the which prevents the torquing of the denture from the distal aspect. Clear? So the main purpose of indirect retainers is to prevent the liftment of the denture base from the tissue. Okay. So hope it is clear. We'll be discussing the auxiliary rest or the indirect retainers more detailedly in another session. Now, coming to rest seat preparations, what are the different requirements? Yes, definitely it should have a preparation so that it doesn't cause interference. If it causes interference, means it will result in increase in vertical dimension. Yeah, primary rest is the main rest which is along with the clasp assembly. So primary rest is a rest that is usually seen along with the clasp assembly. Understood? Auxiliary rest or the Indirect retainers are which are seen separately from the major connector with a minor connector extending over the tooth. You have only the rust assembly over that tooth, nothing else. Understood? So the primary rust is the rust that is seen along with the clasp assembly. Understood? Now, definitely without preparation, there will be occlusal interference, and this is going to raise the vertical dimension. Clear? So this is the same picture. What happens if you don't have a rust seed preparation? Definitely it will be rusting over the tooth surface and it is going to cause occlusal interference. Clear? So from the three pictures, it should be clear. Clear cut, no confusion at all. Clear? Now, the rust seed preparation. Definitely it has to direct the occlusal forces along the long axis of the teeth. So the angle between the floor of the rust seed or the rust seed preparation and the minor connector, it should be less than 90 degree. Only if it is less than 90 degree, it is going to direct the occlusal forces along the long axis. Clear? So it should be less than 90 degree. Now, what are the functions of rust? Definitely, I have told you the primary function, it is support. Second one, transmitting the stress along the long axis of the teeth. Third one, yes, secure the clasp assembly in its position. Yes, the rust seed will secure the total assembly, the total removable partial plunger assembly in its position. Okay, distribution of the occlusal load, and it can act as, yes, indirect retention. I have told you auxiliary rust will act as indirect retainers. Clear? So primary function, it is going to provide support. Second one is transmitting the vertical stress or the occlusal forces over the prosthesis along the long axis of the teeth, so that it should be, the rust seed preparation should be, means the angle between the rust seed, floor of the rust seed and the minor connector, it has to be less than 90 degree. And so that means the apex of the rust seed should be directed towards the center of the teeth. Understood? Third one, it helps to secure the clasp assembly in its position, or it helps the clasp assembly from impinging over the soft tissue. See, when the occlusal forces acts upon it, the clasp assembly will not move because there is a rust seed which will support the clasp assembly. So there won't be any impingement of the clasp arm, the tip of the clasp arm over the soft tissue or the underlying gingival margin. Clear? So it prevents the soft tissue impingement by the clasp, the tip of the clasp. Yes. Now the distribution of the forces. Yes, definitely you will have a rust along with the clasp assembly and over the either sides. So there will be a distribution of the occlusal load. There are many components. The major connector plays a role, the minor connector plays a role, and also the occlusal rust also plays its role in distribution of the occlusal load uniformly along the abutment teeth. Clear? Again, indirect retainer, and also when you have a rust, it can prevent the lateral or the horizontal movements of the prosthesis. It will also prevent the horizontal movements of the prosthesis, and also it will provide an indirect retention. So all these are functions of rust seed or the rust, sorry. So coming to different types of rust. Occlusal rust, yes, definitely it will be over the occlusal surface of premolars and molars. So that's why it's known as the occlusal rust. So it has to be over premolars or molars, the posterior teeth. It can rust over a restoration. That means it can be over a cast restoration. It can be over a tooth. The rust seed preparation should confine entirely into our enamel. It should not expose the dendine. Clear? It should not expose the dendine. Otherwise, it might result in secondary caries. Okay. Or frequently, you'll have to apply fluoride applications to prevent caries. Now, occlusal rest. Yes, definitely it will be triangular in shape, and base of the triangle will be towards the marginal ridge. Base of the triangle should be towards the marginal ridge, and width should be minimum 2.5 mm. 2.5 mm. And apex, it should be directed towards the center of the tooth. I've told you apex should be directed towards the center of the tooth, so that you can direct the occlusal forces along the long axis. And apex should not be sharp, it should be rounded. Apex should be rounded. So it is actually a rounded triangle with base towards the marginal ridge. Clear? And at the marginal ridge, there should be minimum 1 to 1.5 mm clearance, so that there is sufficient bulk of the rust material or the metal material, cast metal, so that it can have a structural durability. So you should have a minimum 1 to 1.5 mm clearance at the marginal ridge. Hope it is clear. And the floor of the rest seat should be spoon shaped. It should be spoon shaped. It should be smooth. There shouldn't be any sharp edges, so that there is no stress concentration over it. There is no wedging effect onto the tooth, which can result in the fracture. So it should be rounded. The rest seat should be rounded from all the margins. Clear? And spoon shaped, and it should be inclined towards the center of the tooth, already discussed, so that it can guide you along the long axis. The forces can be guided along the long axis. Now coming to canine or the lingual rest. See, usually the lingual rest are placed over the incisors and the canines. The most commonly they are used in canines. So it will be half moon shaped. It will be half moon shaped when viewed from the lingual aspect. When viewed from the lingual aspect, it will be half moon shaped, and it will be V shaped when it is viewed from the mesial or distal aspect. That means the profile view, it will be V shaped, whereas the facial view or the lingual view, it will be half moon shaped or crescent shaped. Clear? And what are the minimum requirement for a lingual rest? Lingual rest, it should have a width of 2 mm and a depth of 1 to 1.5 mm. It should have a width of 2 mm and depth of 1 to 1.5 mm. Clear? And again, it should have a preparation in the lingual aspect. Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, there will be lateral forces which is detrimental to the periodontal supporting structures. Okay, and also this preparation will guide the occlusal forces along the long axis. So there should be preparation so that the forces can be guided along the long axis. Clear? Now coming to incisal rest seat. See, incisal rest seat, it is placed ideally over the incisors or canines. It will be at the line angles. It will be at the line angles, and depth, it should have a 1.5 mm depth and width 2 mm width. Clear? So the depth for lingual rest is also the same, 1.5 mm, width is 2.5 to 2 mm. So even the depth at the marginal ridge is again 1 to 1.5 mm. So that depth should be there for a casted restoration, so that it can have a structural durability. Okay. Now, again, incisal rest, they are rigid. Definitely they are rigid, and they are most commonly indicated in mandibular teeth, mandibular anterior teeth, mandibular incisors and mandibular canines. Okay, and predominantly used as auxiliary rest, because we usually don't have clasp assemblies over the incisors. We don't have clasp assemblies over incisors usually. So they are usually given as an auxiliary rest or indirect retainers. Again, it should be 2 to 2.5 mm wide. Some books say it's 2.5 mm. It's actually minimum 2 mm, minimum 2 mm wide, and depth 1.5 mm. Okay, clear? So this is about the incisal rest. This is a picture showing the incisal rest. Okay, so this is total discussion for today. We have discussed the different components of removable partial denture. Which are the different components? They are the major connector, minor connector, the direct retainers, the indirect retainers or the auxiliary rest, the rest or the primary rest that is along with the direct retainers, and the denture base. Denture base minor connector is there, and over that denture base is there, over which they are collecting. Coming to the rest, it is a component that supports the removable partial denture. There should be a rest seat preparation should be there. Rest seat preparation is necessary so that it doesn't cause any tooth interference, and also it can guide the occlusal forces along the long axis of the teeth. Clear? And different functions of rest we have discussed. Primary function, it is to provide support. Second one, it is to provide it should direct the forces along the long axis of the teeth to stabilize the clasp assembly in its position, and also it provides some amount of indirect retention in some cases. Clear? So we will discuss the questions. We will discuss 5 questions related to rest, and 2 of them have been taken from the national board so that it can be useful, because these national board questions are the base for all other competitive exams. Clear? So incisal rest, I want you all to answer according to this class. You will be able to answer. Incisal rest are preferred in which teeth? Maxillary laterals. They are very direct questions. Maxillary lateral, mandibular incisors, maxillary canines, premolars. Yeah. Mandibular incisors and mandibular canines, they are the most preferred tooth for incisal rest. Clear? So many of you have answered. Good to see that you have been following the class. Good. Mandibular incisors. Which type of rest act as indirect retainer? Which type of rest act as indirect retainer? The primary rest, the auxiliary rest, both A and B, all of the above. So yeah, it is the auxiliary rest which will act as indirect retainer. It will the auxiliary rest that will act as indirect retainer. Coming to next question. Shape of the canine resters. Shape of the canine resters. Full moon shape, half moon shape, half pear shape, none of the above. Yeah. Shape of the canine rest, it is half moon shape when it is viewed from the facial aspect. Instead of this, you have other options which contains which contains spoon shaped, V shaped, then box shaped, none of the above. Shape of canine rest, which is spoon shaped, V shaped, box shaped, none of the above. It will be V shaped. What will be the shape of occlusal rest? What should be the shape of occlusal rest? Occlusal rest, occlusal rest, it will be spoon shaped. What should be the angle of the floor of the teeth and the minor connector? What should be the floor of the rest seat and minor connector? What should be the angle? Less than 90 degree. Yes, less than 90 degree. These questions are frequently asked one. They are direct ones, easy ones. Now, what should be the reduction in the marginal ridge for a occlusal rest? Or what should be the marginal ridge reduction for a occlusal seat preparation? What is the minimum amount of preparation required at the marginal ridge? It's 1 to 1.5 mm. 1 to 1.5 mm. It's not 2.5 mm. Marginal ridge, it is 1 to 1.5 mm. Clear? So these are the frequently asked questions from this region. Clear? Now coming to Next question. Rust seat acts as a vertical stop for the processes, protects the soft tissue from injury, dissipates the lateral forces on abutment, all of the above. So we know that the primary function, it is to provide support. So vertical stop is there. Protects the soft tissue. Definitely, support means it protects the soft tissue. Dissipate the lateral forces. Yes, there is distribution of the occlusal forces along the abutment teeth. So rust has all these functions. Clear? Shape of the occlusal rest in distal extension removable partial denture. What should be the shape of the occlusal rest in distal extension removable partial denture? Deeper and box shaped, shallow and saucer shaped, both A and B, all of the above. Yeah. It should be shallow and saucer shaped. What is the meaning of shallow? It means that the preparation should remain within the enamel. And it should be spoon shaped. We have discussed it as spoon shaped. Another terminology which will correspond to it is saucer shape. That means there is no sharp edges over the floor. Okay, so there is no sharp edges. It is smooth so that there is no stress concentration. So the answer is it is shallow and saucer shaped. Yeah. Clear? So this is the end of today's session. So this is the person I immensely respect and follow. So what he has said is to have a success, you should have a single-minded devotion towards the goal. Okay, you should have the goal of achieving a seat in a NEET entrance exam. So that should be your primary aim for this year throughout. Okay, somebody has asked me to discuss the second question. I will discuss it again. So which type of rest acts as indirect retainer? See, I have told you there is a primary rest is there, there's a secondary rest or auxiliary rest is there. So indirect retainers are the different topic we'll be discussing. So auxiliary rest, the rest which is not there along with the clasp assembly, act as indirect retainers. Hope it is clear. So indirect retainers are the auxiliary rest or the rest which are not along with the clasp assembly will act as the indirect retainers. Clear? Hope it is clear. Okay, I think it was useful session today. So everybody will be thorough with the rust seat of removable partial denture. Clear? And I'll be discussing something about our Focus Academy also. A few words about the Focus Academy. See, this academy is run by trained teachers and all the candidates will be under mentorship of each teachers. So these teachers will be monitoring your progress every week. If you have any query regarding the subject, any query regarding the training, any query regarding how to study, which all books to learn, everything will be monitored, helped by these mentors. Okay, so you will be under the guidance of these mentors, and under one mentor you will have only few students, so that each mentor can give personal attention to these candidates. Understood? So last year we have got some few successful candidates, and Abida from my mentorship batch has got good rank. So I'm very happy that one of my candidate from my mentorship has got good ranks in our NEET exam. Okay, so coming to tomorrow's